presentation by United Way of Southern Cameron County study regarding the Texas Community Campaign for School Readiness and the Early Development Instrument.
Good afternoon. Thank you all for being here today, Commissioner and Mayor.
Where's the other missing commissioner, male? I don't know.
He's probably
Why don't you go ahead
heard it
and
enough
put your name for the record and,
Yes.
and who you represent, and then what we're doing here, okay?
Absolutely.
Okay.
My name's Lynette Benavides, and I'm representing United Way of Southern Cameron County as their Early Childhood Education Director. And I wanted to just take a few minutes to speak with you all about a study that we completed. United Way and several community organizations have worked very hard around early childhood over the last 10, 15 years. We found out years ago that children are entering school 1 to 2 years behind and are never catching up. This is our future workforce. For years, we've poured in lots and lots of money into our neighborhoods, into our organizations, and the problem is we've been using poverty as a proxy for everything that we do. Why is early childhood important? Overall, your brain develops primarily by the age of 5. I don't need to tell you this, Dr. Gowan, but if we don't take that opportunity between birth and age 5 to develop what we call the little synapses in the brain, our kids aren't going to be a great future workforce. So we decided, and when we had the opportunity to participate in the Texas Community Campaign for School Readiness, to really get some neighborhood level data. Like I said, we've been using poverty as a proxy for everything that we do as far as intervention is concerned. So we participated in this. We were one of 4 cities selected. It became a partnership between United Way of Southern Cameron County, our local school districts. What it did was assess all kindergarten age children. We were able to capture 86% of them, and then it geo-mapped them back by neighborhood. And again, we're a community committed to fulfill the needs of children and inspire them to reach their full potential. This is the Early Childhood Leadership Team, made up of community organizations, school districts, the city of Brownsville has participated, the county, and so forth. So we used this assessment. It allowed us to look forward to adjust school programs to meet the current needs of incoming students, and to look backward to adjust early childhood service systems to help ensure children are ready to learn. It assessed 5 domains: physical health and well-being, social competence, emotional maturity, language and cognitive development, communication skills, and general knowledge. We got together with people around the community to say, okay, where's your neighborhood? If you think about systems that we're serving, what neighborhoods do we work in often? I'm going to answer for you guys. Cameron Park, Southmost. They're areas that we just assume have the most need because we do look at poverty for a lot of what we do. We were able to geo-map the responses or from these evaluations back to each neighborhood. If you look at this map, the darker the area, the higher vulnerability of children in that area when they enter kindergarten. You can kind of see and you can kind of not, but do you see those dark areas in the middle? You have Land O'Lakes, Rio Viejo, International Boulevard area. Now we overlaid it with poverty. The bigger the circle of poverty, because we're looking at indicators, right? The bigger the circle of poverty, we're trying to see, okay, is that the correlation? Is that why those kids aren't ready to go to school? Well, there's areas with big, big circles that show high levels of poverty and a very light color there, so they have less of a vulnerability. Now we took the areas of children where there's a high density of children, along with a high percentage of vulnerabilities. Port of Brownsville 1, Port of Brownsville 2, that Ruben Torres, Quail Hollow, McAllen roadblock area, Land O'Lakes, and then Southmost kind of came in last there. You'll see that Rio Viejo's not up there because they only had 24 5-year-olds. We're looking at the larger numbers of children here, and the multiple challenge index, and that just means that children were highly vulnerable on 4 of 5 of those domains. We found that 23% of our kids are ready to enter school. And that's it. And so for years, we've focused heavily on early childhood, yet we didn't know where the kids were. And perhaps we were focusing in the wrong areas. I'm going to take you back here. I know Cameron Park's not within the city, but it's within our area. There, somewhere there at the top, in that light green shaded area. So why is Cameron Park's neighborhood doing better than the Land O'Lakes neighborhood? And this is just a general overview of what we found. In front of you, you have a folder with the full report along with our agenda for today and a snapshot of each neighborhood by developmental domain for you to read at night when you have nothing better to do at 2 a.m. But these are some of the 3 common vulnerabilities: language and cognitive development, physical health and well-being, and social competence. So we took this information, you can see exactly what it tested for. It's 104 questions by developmental domain and subdomain. So we know where we can really be focusing on within each community. If you look in your folders, it'll give you each neighborhood by developmental domain with the percentage of children highly vulnerable, ranking on the bottom 10th percentile. So what can we do? I came to you with this information, and I know it's incredibly brief, and I'm gonna have them pull up the website if you can. But I'm asking you as a city that when you come to make decisions about parks, about community centers, about public libraries, about where trails need to be, that you look at the data, because we have it. We were the largest site in the state of in the country, actually, to really get this data. People work with 20% of their 5-year-old population, 11%. We captured 86% of our kindergarten age population. So it's a real gift to have this data, and I'm asking that you use it when it comes to making big dollar decisions for our future kids. When you get a chance, schoolreadyrgv.com, this is where we put up the maps and the full report. You can type in Brownsville, you can pick in your neighborhood. Could you kind of just like scroll over so you can see some of the data? You can go over a neighborhood. Let's get out of Bonito and go a little further down. There, Port of Brownsville. There's 2 sets of maps. There's the central map and then the larger map, which will show us and Los Fresnos, Laguna Vista, South Padre Island. 26% of those are already in Southmost, 16% of those are considered highly vulnerable. And you can kind of go over each area and zoom in, because we did use Google, and you can see the boundaries of each neighborhood. We could go back to that, please. And so again, we have to give our children the tools to enter school ready to succeed, because they are our future workforce. And we often think, well, they're going to learn when they get to school. It's the teacher's responsibility, it's the school district's responsibility, and ultimately it's the community's responsibility. It's the parents, it's the family, it's the city, it's our churches, it's our local organizations that are responsible for our future workforce and for our kids and for our families. So these are some of the things that we're trying to achieve from cradle to career, from entering school ready to succeed, graduating from high school on time, and being ready for success in college, work, and life. And so I ask you, what can you do to make a difference for children in your community? Again, thank you so much for allowing me to speak to you. I know that we're on a little bit of a time limit here, but if there's any questions I can answer for you, I'd be glad to. And we can meet later.
Can I ask a question? I'm a little ignorant on this fact, but I noticed that the San Antonio, the city, passed an ordinance and raised some taxes for pre-K.
They did.
And I know that they just did it recently, but have we looked at any studies of what the benefit would be to the community, especially on what you're focusing on from cradle to career, as to the measure of success? I think there's some other cities that have that pre-K.
They have. And San Antonio actually used this study. They were one of the cities to leverage those tax monies for it. We have worked with our school district to see what the real need is for kids in our community, what that gap is, what number of 4-year-olds we're missing, and we're at a few hundred. As far as children that are not in a Head Start or pre-K or a private child care center. Now, the private child care centers is kind of a whole other ballgame when it comes to 4-year-olds, because you do have quality rated centers versus just babysitting centers. They're not truly learning everything that we'd like them to be learning, right? But we are looking at that gap. I know that the school district, and I shouldn't quote them per se, but they did put out a survey to see if people would be willing to pay almost $400, about $360 a month for their child to be in a quality 4-year-old program. And while there were some, it kind of seems that that middle income bracket is the one that really does need the help, because they don't qualify for CCMS or child care management services through workforce, and their children don't qualify for the pre-K program. So we are missing that middle income family's 4-year-old.
Okay, because the information I got was that it was really beneficial.
Absolutely.
Not only for, the kiddos, but for the community as they go through and try to provide a workforce that's educated and with all the opportunities that we're having, or hopefully can provide for this community. It would seem that we should have a sort of a plan to meet those needs.
I agree with you 100%.
Okay.
I want to
Well,
thank.
I mean, I think we can meet the trails and the walking trails and the bikes and the parks. I think this commission is doing an admirable job of looking at it, having a plan enforced, and we have our new city director of planning here with us today. And that is one of our priorities, and I think this commission has done a great job at looking at that. But I'm also concerned about the educational component, which is the pre-K, which I think that we should, when we look at the capital improvement project or whatever that we have, that we should look at it and have you come speak to us a little bit more in depth about that, okay?
I want to thank you for doing this study, because all too often, as you said in the beginning, we assume that the reason for everything bad is because of poverty, and that's not true. Can you go back to the slide for just a second where you outlined what the criteria are for that one? So under physical, I just want to point out to those watching at home and those here, physical health and well-being includes things like the ability to climb stairs, level of energy throughout the school day, overall physical development, all of which relate to the quality of nutrition that the children are eating at home.
Yes.
And the level of regular exercise that they're getting, because if you don't keep a child active, they will have less dexterity and less balance. And if they're overweight, they're going to have less energy throughout the day, ability to climb stairs, and so on and so forth. I would be interested in seeing whether these numbers and neighborhoods correlate, how they correlate to the fitness scores that BISD does on the older children, and see whether these younger than these 5-year-olds are continuing in that same pattern as they get into junior high and high school. And I would invite you to work with me to look at that correlation, because that would be another important piece of information, since a lot of those kids may have failed, quote unquote, or been considered vulnerable simply because of that one criteria, as opposed to all of them. So in some cases, it may not be the language and education or pre-K education. It could be
It depends on each neighborhood, yeah, right. Absolutely. And they're not in any order. Those were just the top for Brownsville. As a side comment to that, when we did host what we called community meriendas or listening sessions with parents, Physical health and well-being was one of the issues we really talked about, and as I was telling Charlie earlier, it was about simple things, streetlights, sidewalks that were barriers for them to be outside with their kids, and also the fact that they didn't know their neighbors. I mean, simple solutions as far as a neighborhood block party, a street light, or hey, this is when your rotation's coming in and there's going to be a sidewalk coming in, whatever it may be. And people feel really good about that. So.
And I think we need to emphasize the fact that just like we're not going to blame poverty, we're also not going to blame the teachers, the administrators,
No.
you know, it's a community. We're all in this together, and we need to learn how to take care of each other. So if somehow or another that marketing tool is implemented by saying we're all in, just like we said it before, that
Absolutely.
it's all of us. And if one child fails, we all fail. And that's the way it's got to be looked at, because it's easy to sit there and say there's not good parenting, or there's not good teaching, or there's not good leadership, or there's not good whatever. Forget all that and try to emphasize the fact that we're all in this and we have to help each other, I think.
Thank you.
Thank you so
Thank
much for
you.
taking
Thank
your
you.
time. Is that it for the
For
workshop?
workshops, yes.
Yeah.
We can
It's-
call the
it-
meeting to order if you like.
Yeah, go ahead and call.
Notice of a public meeting of the City Commission of the City of Brownsville pursuant to Chapter 551, Title 5 of the Texas Government Code and the Texas Open Meetings Act. Notice is hereby given that the City Commission of the City of Brownsville, Texas, in accordance with Article 5, Section 12 of the Charter of said city, will convene a workshop, an executive session, and a regular meeting on Tuesday, June the 3rd, 2014, at 5:20 p.m., 5:35 p.m., and 6 p.m. in the Commission Chambers on the second floor of Brownsville City Hall, located at 1001 East Elizabeth Street, Brownsville, Cameron County, Texas. Executive session, item A, discussion pursuant to section 551.071 and 551.071, parentheses 2 of the Texas Government Code regarding Texas Gas Service Company's cost of service adjustment tariff. Executive session, item B, discussion pursuant to section 551.072 of the Texas Government Code regarding the purchase of real estate property.
Motion to move to executive session.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Okay, it's now 6 o'clock.
Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance and the invocation.
I pledge allegiance to the flag
United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag, pledge allegiance to the Texas, one state
under God, one and indivisible.
Last meeting, I think we were addressed by Brad, and he was going to get married. I guess the wife didn't let him come tonight. I'll go ahead and make an attempt at an invocation and make it a short one. Our Heavenly Father, we thank you for today. We thank you for all your blessings. We ask that you guide us tonight in the spirit of cooperation and in doing what's best for all the city of Brownsville. We ask that you remember all of the people that go without. We ask you that the programs that we have, or especially the ones that are attending the needs of those in most need, are met by our actions tonight and every night. In your name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Action on items discussed in executive session. Item A, consideration and action to adopt resolution number 2014-047, authorizing the review of Texas Gas Service Company's cost of service adjustment tariff, approving of a joint review of TGS's application along with other cities served by TGS, hiring consulting services to negotiate with the company and direct any necessary litigation and appeals, requiring TGS to reimburse all reasonable costs associated with the city's efforts in this rate-making effort, finding that the meeting at which this resolution is passed was open to the public as required by law, and requiring notice of this resolution to the TGS and legal counsel.
Move to proceed in accordance with legal's advice.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
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 Motion carries.
Item B1, consideration and action on resolution number 2014-045 to authorize the purchase of a vacant tract located on the southwest corner of California and Indiana Avenue in Brownsville, Texas, designating signatories for the purchase and related matters.
Mayor, City Commission, the City Commission is asked to authorize the purchase of this property. The purpose of the property is for airport development and expansion. The resolution number is 2014-045. The price is $93,150 plus the closing cost. It's a 4.053 acre tract of land in the Lot 1, Block 305L Hardin subdivision.
Move to
Staff
approve.
recommends approval.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carried.
Thank you.
Item B2, consideration and action on resolution number 2014-046 to authorize the purchase of an improved tract located at 2994 South Indiana Avenue, Brownsville, Texas, designating signatories for the purchase and related matters.
This parcel of property is located at 2113 South Indiana. The price for the property is $105,457 in closing costs. There's a 4.14 acre tract of land, again, for the purposes of airport improvement and expansion. Staff recommends approval.
Move to approve.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Thank you.
Mayor's activity update.
Charlie, if you would introduce our new public information officer and our planning director to welcome them to Brownsville and our Brownsville family, that would be
Sure.
my activity report.
Certainly will, Mayor. Thank you. Please welcome our new Public Information Officer, Patty Gonzalez. And come a little bit closer. And our new Planning and Zoning Director, Michael Warwicks.
Okay.
Just a brief, Michael brings 30 years' experience. He is certified by the American Institute of Certified Planners. His most recent position was working with the MSE of Kentucky, engineering, architecture, and planning firm based in Lexington, Kentucky. He has been vice president and senior advisor for many private and private sector firms in the Georgia, Atlanta area. We are very pleased to have him here, very fortunate that he came to Brownsville. Patty is a native of Raymondville. She's got 20 years experience. He has worked with local television stations, and she has come from Austin, working independent public affairs and communications consultant. So very fortunate to have them both on board, and our organizational chart is looking bright.
Yes, and I want to tell both of them, I've had the distinct pleasure of meeting with these two young folks in my office. I think it was Friday, if I recall correctly. Anyway, it was a joy, and we had a great conversation, and I'm welcoming them to the Brownsville family. And these are the rest of your brothers and sisters, okay? Enjoy. Welcome aboard.
Commissioners' activity update. Commissioner
Yes,
Gowan?
I have a couple things. First, I'd like to thank the USDA for bringing Strike Force to Brownsville yesterday. Strike Force is an initiative of the USDA to try and improve communication and networking between various entities in the federal, state, and local governments to ensure healthy eating and safe housing for our people. They conducted a wonderful in-service yesterday, and City Secretary has all of the contact information. I left each of the commissioners a folder at your desk that as well does that. Secondly, I'd like to express my and I'm sure the whole commission's dissatisfaction with the information regarding this theft of the curbside recycling containers. I was unfortunate or fortunate enough to watch a video today from someone's personal home security camera where a woman drives up in a car in the middle of the day, opens her car, takes the bin from this person's front yard, takes the recycling items out of the recycling bin, puts them in the trash can, and then drives away with the recycling bin. I think it's amazing and very sad that people think this is appropriate behavior. These bins were bought with city funds, so you're basically stealing the taxpayer money from your neighbors, your friends, your family, and is very unacceptable. So I would highly encourage people to know that we do have a serious commitment to proceed with finding you if you're stealing these bins, and this one particular person that I'm talking about is on camera with the license plate of her car, and so on. So please do not do that. We're trying to protect our environment for our children and our children's children, and you get in the way when you do that. Thirdly, I'd like to remind everyone that Friday is Ciclovia Nights. Our second Ciclovia for this year. We're bringing a nighttime Ciclovia. If any of you attended the last nighttime one, there were 10,000 people in the streets. And we encourage you to come out again because it's really a lot of fun. It'll be from 7 to 11 p.m. We have bike raffles available from various donors, including Commissioner Tetro, who made a very generous donation to buy bicycles to donate in raffles to our children in the community to use this summer. And there'll also be a bicycle fashion show, something fun and different at Market Square during the Ciclovia.
I'm so gonna win it. Sorry. I'm so gonna win it.
And finally, I'd like to introduce Silverio Capistran. He is the Director of Food Services at BISD, and he's going to take a few minutes to tell the Commission and the audience about the summer feeding program getting ready to start.
Silverio also sits in our housing authority.
Used to, not anymore.
Not in right now? Okay, well, he did a lot of great service. Thank you.
Thank you. Which is the button? Guess to the right. Mr. Mayor, Commissioners, my name is Silverio Capistran. I don't want to take anybody for granted. I'm here representing Brownsville Independent School District Child Nutrition Program. And I'm here to talk to you about our seamless summer option or our summer feeding. But before I do that, I would like to take you through a brief background of how child nutrition started. During World War II, as the government was trying to recruit soldiers, they found that many of these were being rejected due to childhood malnutrition. So because of that, President Truman, that's when he began the National School Lunch Program. And I'm quoting why he did it: as a measure of national security to safeguard the health and the well-being of the nation's children and to encourage domestic consumption of nutritious agriculture, commodities, and other foods. I'm also going to tell you how we get funded. Our monies come through the state. They are funneled through the state, but they come from the federal government. And for breakfast, the national program reimburses districts based on 3 rates. For breakfast, they pay us $1.89 for breakfast for the free rate. For the reduced, they pay us $1.59, and for paid, 28 cents. And I'm going to explain to you in the next slides how the rates work. For lunch, we get $3.01. For reduced rate, we get $2.61, and for paid, 36 cents for each meal. Now, BISD claims its meals through Provision 2. What does that mean? It's a way of claiming meals where no students, every student eats for free. Nonetheless, we claim at certain percentages at the rates that I just described to you. And the advantages of the Provision 2, perhaps some of you may recall when we were in school that we had to take applications and we had to fill it out, and then they would let us know whether we were free, reduced, or paid. But with provision 2, we no longer take applications. But nonetheless, every student eats for free or at free of charge at BISD. And these are the percentages that we claim our meals. For every 100 students, 87% of our students, we get paid at the free rate, which are the rates that I described before. 4% we get paid at reduced, and 9% at paid. And these rates were established back in 1993 when BISD decided to apply for provision 2. Prior to 1993, as I explained, we were taking applications and claiming our students had to pay for the different rates. Also going to talk to you about the 4 different programs that we run. Currently, we have the school breakfast program. And as many of you already know, we serve breakfast in the classroom district-wide. We also serve the National School Lunch Program. Also, when students have tutorials for testing, for math, English, we also serve them after-school snacks. And what I'm here to talk to you about is the seamless summer option. We also provide the summer feeding. And we're also proud to say that next year we're going to be providing supper to our students. As soon as the bell rings, we're going to be able to provide supper to our students. So what is the seamless summer option? It's simply an extension of our school lunch and breakfast service. Go ahead. Why is it important to serve meals? As you already know, students they receive breakfast and lunch with us, but as soon as the summer hits, some of these students they lose access to our meals. Just in Texas alone, 3 million children are eligible to receive meals, but only 16% take advantage. And with BISD, we serve approximately 15 meals per year. And during the summer months, we don't see as many numbers as we would like to see. So that's why we're here promoting the summer feeding. Another thing that I want to say, that summer feeding has always existed. What has never existed is the promotion, the education to our community, to our students, but it has always existed. Now, the USDA has selected 6 states to provide additional assistance. Texas is one of them, so we're lucky to be within one of those states, and they have committed to provide additional resources, whether it's training, whether it's monies, you name it. Okay, USDA has a goal, we also have a goal. USDA is wanting, as you heard yesterday from Audrey Rowe, that she wants to increase the number of meals served, of summer meals, by 10 million. The state of Texas has a goal of 10, and of course BISD, we have a goal of 20%. Last year, we served, during the summer months, 112,000 meals. No, I'm sorry, the year 2012, we served 112,000 meals. Last year, we started a campaign to promote summer, kind of like the same way we're doing this year. And we served 348,000 meals last year. That's approximately 200% increase. This year, we are aiming, those are our numbers. This year, we're aiming for another 20% increase. So we hope to serve approximately 48,000 meals this year. Another thing I want to say, that the summer feeding is open to any child 18 years or younger, or 0 to 18. They do not have to be a resident of the city. They do not have to be enrolled in BISD or be participating in any of the summer programs that BISD may be offering. So anybody 18 years and younger can go to any of our sites, and they can participate in take a meal, take a breakfast, take a lunch. That's one thing I wanted to inform. We have 38 BISD sites, 38 schools that are going to be participating, and also 21 non-BISD sites, to include the zoo, the museum, churches. And if anybody would like more information on where these sites are located, they can contact Vanessa Mancha at 547-5083. Or we also have a dedicated line for the community. Anybody who wants to has any questions also, they can call 547-5086, and we'll answer any of their questions.
And I would also add that there's a graduate student from School Public Health, Ileana Chapa, who's going to be doing a summer practicum with BISD to look at gaps. So she's going to be calling each of the commissioners in your districts, and she will talk to you about the feeding sites in your district, and maybe you have other suggestions for other sites. And at the very least, you can promote those feeding sites within your districts as the summer goes on.
Do we have a link on our city? Maybe we should add that, a link to our city webpage for these sites.
We can send the sites, the information on the site and website and number, anything you like.
Great.
Thank you, Silverio.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Silverio, very much.
Proclamations. The 2014 All-America City finalist and designation June the 6th, 2014 as an All-America City Day. You wanna read it, John? Art, stand over there so you can have the proclamation. Over there.
A proclamation of the City Commission of Brownsville, Texas, declaring the City of Brownsville as a 2014 All-American City finalist and designating June 6, 2014 as an All-American City Day. Whereas the All-America City Award is the oldest and most respected community recognition program in the nation. This year marks the 65th anniversary of the award that recognizes communities whose citizens work together to identify and tackle community-wide challenges and achieve uncommon results. Whereas the All-America City Awards is the country's most prestigious award for outstanding community-based civic accomplishments. And whereas the National Civic League has a special focus on successful efforts to address the underlying conditions that affect the health of communities. And whereas part of the National Civic League celebration on the 25th anniversary of the U.S. Healthy Communities Movement, the All-America City Award will spotlight programs that address issues such as obesity, walkable cities, biking, fitness, healthy eating, and disease prevention. And whereas the City of Brownsville, in collaboration with other organizations, submitted an application to the National Civic League on March 18, 2014, listing 3 examples of successful community change and describing their capacities for civic engagement, collaboration, inclusiveness, and innovation. Whereas the City of Brownsville was an All-America City in 2001, whereas the City of Brownsville was declared a 2014 All-America City finalist on April 9, 2014, and whereas the City of Brownsville hereby designates June 6, 2014 as an All-America City Day in Brownsville, and whereas a City of Brownsville delegation will travel to Denver, Colorado on June 13 through 16, 2014 to compete with 24 other city finalists by presenting to a jury of civic experts who will select 10 annual award winners. Now therefore we, the members of the City Commission of the City of Brownsville, Texas, by virtue of the authority vested by the charter of said city, do hereby designate the City of Brownsville as a 2014 All-America City finalist and declare June 6, 2014 as an All-America City Day in Brownsville. Done on this 3rd day of June 2014, signed Antonio Martinez, Mayor, and the City Commission.
If we have other committee members in the audience, could you all please come forward? And I'd like to take a quick photograph of them with a proclamation.
She was declining our invitation. So I'm glad.
Thank you, congratulations.
Mr. Mayor, if it pleases the commission, I'd like to include in the consent agenda items, item 13.
Okay. And
What's
I'd
anybody have
like
any problem
to-
with that? It's just a delegation going to Denver.
I'd-
Oh,
So it'll be travel and should have been placed in the consent items. And so if nobody has any objections, we'll do so. Item number 13 will be included under the consent agenda items.
Right.
Stella,
We need a second?
all right?
We need a second?
second?
Okay. We need
Okay.
to go back to Employee of the Month.
Oh, I'm sorry. Skip
I think we'll have to say all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
that. Aye.
Okay, motion carries.
Mayor and members of the commission, our Employee of the Month is part of the delegation. Please help me welcome Roxana Rosas. Roxana, as you know, works in our grants department. She's been with us since May 13th. Before that, she was an interim for 9 months, which basically meant she didn't get paid, but she learned a lot. She has since become part of our Grant Professional Association. She attended the national conference in Baltimore, Maryland, this past fall. She's recognized by her peers, her supervisors, and the public as being dependable, respectful, and courteous. She is well organized. She is always cooperative and committed to loyalty to the city of Brownsville. We show that her efforts, especially in the last 90 days, have accumulated $1.6 million in grants being awarded to our city. So we recognize her and of course, her fellow employees for that. And let me give her some grant awards now. She gets the plaque for the Employee of the Month for June. Recognition of outstanding service provided to the residents of our city. She's always on time, but we're still going to give her a nice watch. Very good. Matches your outfit. And she's always got something to say to her community.
Honorable Mayor and City Commissioners, thank you so much. This is a really big honor for me. I know Stephanie can't be here right now, but especially want to thank her for giving me a chance and for giving us all the chance and to be the best employees we can be. Really happy here. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Item 6, consideration and action to appoint 1 commissioner and 3 members to the Brownsville Beautification Committee.
All right.
One at a time. I thought John was on.
Mayor, we need a motion on the consent agenda items to approve the consent agenda items after having moved that one.
Move to
So
approve the
moved.
consent agenda?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Thank you. Item 6, consideration and action to appoint 1 commissioner and 3 members to the Brownsville Beautification Committee.
I'd like to make a motion.
Oh, sure. No, I was just gonna say, for me, I've been filling in the commission liaison spot. It's been a little difficult to make the meetings for personal reasons at the noon hour, which is the usual time. However, if another commissioner would like to or could attend at that time, the board would be honored to have you on their board. If not, they can make accommodations to move the time, which if they do, I might be able to make it.
Can they change the time for you?
Well, that's something that I had asked in the past and it never got addressed, so I assumed they weren't going to change it. And right now they told me that they can. So.
Okay, I'd like to nominate you again.
Okay. Well, I'm still on there, so.
So we don't have to renominate you?
Do I have to get nominated?
No,
you're still on.
you're
My
still on
term's
the
still-
board.
Okay,
We just
then
need,
just
we
stay
just need
there.
action on the 3 vacancies, and we have 3
Yeah,
applicants.
we still need 3.
Okay.
There's
still-
only 3 applicants that are on
And
They're
there's
file.
three
they're all
vacancies.
eligible for reappointment, all 3
So
applicants.
do you want to be on there, or?
I'm still on there. I'm still on
Yeah,
there.
you can change the time for him, is that okay?
Okay, and
right.
Joe
He stays.
Lee's here, and he's eligible. Joe, you want to continue serving?
Yes, I'm continuing serving. There's one person for reappointment, Tatiana Lai.
Okay, so the slate of applicants are Tatiana Bailly, Rene Sanchez, and Gonzalo Peña.
Mayor,
Are
I
there-
move to reappoint the slate.
Yes, I second.
All second? Somebody second?
I'll
Okay, all
second
those in
that.
favor say aye.
Aye.
We didn't want to hear you, Jolie.
Sorry.
Motion carried.
Aw. Good luck, John.
Item 7, consideration and action to appoint 1 member to the Brownsville Citizens Advisory Committee.
Good evening, Honorable Mayor and City Commissioners. My name is Julia Denise Lash, and I am the Social Services Coordinator for the Office of Grant Management. I am also the liaison for this Brownsville Citizens Advisory Committee. We currently have 1 vacancy. We have had 1 applicant whom is eligible. As you can see, he would be from District 3, would be Mr. John Rodriguez. The other 2 applicants, they're not yet eligible until August.
So who's still eligible?
Mr. John Rodriguez.
And the other 2 are not eligible.
They're not eligible just yet.
Then-
They're not eligible because they hadn't served in the past and they have to wait a certain amount, or what?
They served in the past and they had to wait a certain amount, and it would be, their time would be in August.
Move to appoint John Rodriguez.
I'll second that.
All those in favor say aye.
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 Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Item 8, public hearing to consider the use of eminent domain to condemn property and to take action on first reading of ordinance number 2014-1591, declaring the existence of a public necessity for the acquisition by agreement or the use of eminent domain to condemn property of fee simple ownership rights, permanent easements, temporary workspace easements, and any other necessary or desirable property interests with respect to all or portions of certain privately owned real properties for underground pipelines for the transportation of national gas and water, natural gas and water, associated with communication systems and such additional above or below grade or undergrade appurtenances, facilities, and equipment as are or may be necessary or convenient to the operation of the pipeline in support of the city's gas, electric, water, and wastewater systems, otherwise known as the Cross Valley Pipeline Project in Hidalgo and Cameron Counties, Texas.
Good afternoon, Mayor, City Commissioners. My name is Eddie Trevino. I'm General Counsel for the Brownsville Public Utilities Board. As you might recall, we've streamlined the agenda item from the last time we were here with regards to this particular project. We were here several months ago, and we're here following up, asking for the Commission's approval with regards to ordinance number 2014-1591, allowing the city through BPUB to continue its eminent domain proceedings with regards to the Cross Valley gas pipeline. There were several properties that were not presented at the Commission at the last hearing, and these are the remainder, along with some corrections that we needed to take place on some of the earlier tracks. This is a public hearing. Commission, or obviously anybody has any questions, I'd be happy to try to answer those. We have also submitted, along with the agenda item and the exhibits that are quite voluminous in nature, the motion to adopt the ordinance if the commission so sees fit.
Okay, and this is a public hearing. Is any comment from the public? Okay, if not, I'm sorry.
Mayor and Commissioners, my name is B.R. Wizenat, and I saw the article in the paper today about the hearing on consideration of eminent domain usage. And it kind of spurred a thought in my heart, maybe I ought to come and speak. I appreciate what the mayor said in his prayer about the cooperation, and that's what I'm here for. I don't know if this affects our land, but I would want to address regarding cooperation and communication regarding this pipeline. We first received notice on this tract that we have. It's immediately north of the proposed utility plant on Old Alice Road, north of 511, about half to 3/4 of a mile. We first received notice that there was going to be a pipeline when a gentleman from Wilbrow's Engineering came to my office and presented me with a preliminary drawing. And I said, this doesn't make any sense. You're cutting diagonally right across 435 acres. And that's going to destroy future usage of this property. I said it'd be much better to go along the northern boundary, eastward to the northeast corner, and then southward to the southeast corner where the terminus on crossing our property was going to be. And they had nothing to say about that. They said, well, we'll take it up with the engineers. And so my purpose in being here tonight is, if this is a property that is in consideration for use in eminent domain, we have retained an attorney because they wouldn't consider our alternatives. But I would like to bring all parties to the table and sit down and discuss the proposed route. I have no qualms about progress. I'm in favor of growth and development for our city, and I have no problems with a pipeline going across part of the land. But I'm just asking for the use of common sense here. On the first page, you see the proposed route. It goes from the northwest down to the southeast corner. On the second page, we had begun preliminary plans for a residential subdivision in 2008. And the firm had drawn all the plans. That's Mejia and Rose. And then when the crash hit, we put everything on hold because we knew there was no sense in attempting any development at that time. Now, on the last page, I superimposed that pipeline across the land to show you how it's going to destroy approximately 110 lots. If you valued the lots with a residence on them at about $130,000, the lot 30, the residence 100, and use 80% of that for tax valuation purposes, that's $700 and some odd per lot per year, which on 110 lots is over $80,000 of lost income to the city. That's only the city tax portion. I didn't include the county, the school, and all the other entities that tax. So my purpose in being here tonight is just to ask for your common sense. I would request respectfully, if you are considering the use of eminent domain in this particular tract, as well as others that might be coming into the city of Brownsville, that we call a meeting. There was no meetings called like there was for this electric 300 kilowatt power line that's going to be proposed in the valley. They had meetings and hearings on those. There were no meetings or hearings on this pipeline. It was just presented. Here's where it's going to go. Here's what we're going to offer you. Take it or leave it. We said, no, we can't accept that. So I respectfully request your consideration, bringing all people to the table. Let's sit down and discuss this as rational adult human beings and put some common sense practices into play here. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Any other comments? Eddie, tell me a little bit. Like I said, I sit on that board as well, and I thought
just
that
asked him who his counsel was, Mayor. and he gave me the name of Patrick Resnick. I can represent to the commission that the individual landowners that are represented by Mr. Resnick have already been in contact with our council from Austin with regards to this. Obviously, we'd prefer to do this through agreement or resolution, and there's nothing to say that we can't do this, but in order to meet our timeline with regards to having the pipeline in place, way in advance of having the plant operational, which right now we're looking at June of 2017, we have to unfortunately ask the City Commission for the right to enforce our rights through eminent domain. We're hopeful through discussions that we can resolve any of these issues with regards to routing, or not necessarily routing, but compensation and value issues, which is basically where we're at right now. I can only represent to the commission that I'm sure that the engineering team that PUB retained looked at all of the potential viable options, and from a cost value standpoint, there was certain opportunities or changes that could have been made, but we're now into this process almost a year. Last summer, we began acquiring access agreements through all of the tracks that are in the pipelines route. So I know that we've had discussions with Mr. Wisenat. I can't personally say that I've had discussions either with him or with his representatives, but the fact that he told me right now that Mr. Resnick is his attorney, I know we're in contact with him, and I know there'll be discussions. So we're hopeful that in spite of the fact that we are going to be filing condemnation proceedings, we still want to resolve all of these cases to everyone's mutual satisfaction as best we can, keeping in mind the price structure that we're trying to do with regards to the project and also for the ratepayers.
Yeah, and if, again, I think I'll address you, but I think if we can give the commissioners kind of a progress report as this thing kind of unfolds, as to the percentage of people we actually come to agreement with, because, I mean, you can just imagine, I get quite a few phone calls, and I know there's a lot of lawyers involved, but, you know, there probably is a little bit of room to work in here, and so I just want this commission to be comfortable that we are following what Mr. Wisenat says, and that is a little bit of cooperation and a meeting, and I know how we lawyers can be, but we have to get to that particular table and try to address some of these issues.
I do not want to leave the commission with the option, or not the option, but the reality that we can continue to move the line. That was done basically last summer and has been for the last several months. I'm sorry that Mr. Wisenat, we weren't able to accommodate him, and I can't speak from the engineering standpoint, but the reality is if we started to do reroutes on each particular landowner, we would double, triple, quadruple, maybe more the price of the line. Now, that's not to say that we can't reach some type of a resolution.
Yeah, I just want a progress report that, first of all, that you know, if for some reason the things can't be worked out, give me a good reason why they can't be worked out. In other words, we need a little bit of help here, because, you know, I think the commission here is doing a great job of trying to accommodate the needs of a lot of the folks with their request, and I think that would be able to help us out in understanding it. I know you need this ordinance coming up, you know, and not everybody can be accommodated, but we know that the reality of the price is going to be taken into consideration. So
I know there were several landowners that we had several meetings with, conversations with, both from the Wilbros and from the BPUB standpoint, trying to see what we might be able to do from an engineering standpoint. I can't tell you what, if any, and if this fell through the crack, I'm a little disappointed, but I venture to guess that when I go and ask Wilbros what happened, I'll get some information, and I'll be happy to try to get that back to each of you.
Okay. If I don't hear any other public comment,
We'll close.
Second.
all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Mayor, I move that the City of Brownsville, Texas adopt ordinance number 2014-1591, and thereby authorize the use of power of eminent domain to acquire fee simple title, permanent and temporary easement, and other property interests in Cameron and Hidalgo counties, and as more particularly described in the attachment hereto, and the property descriptions and surveys attached to the ordinance for the construction, operation, and maintenance of underground pipelines for the transportation of natural gas and water, associated communication systems, and such additional above and below grade and underground apertures, facilities, and equipment as are and may be necessary or convenient to the operation of the pipelines as part of the Cross Valley Pipeline Project, and in support of the city's gas, electric, water, and wastewater systems.
Did you write that yourself? I'm just kidding. Go ahead. Second? Do I hear a second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Thank you, Mayor, City Commissioners.
Thank you.
Item number 9, public hearing and action on first reading of ordinance number 2014-044, authorizing the filing of an application with the Federal Transit Administration and Operating Administration of the United States Department of Transportation for federal transportation assistance authorized by 49 U.S.C. Chapter 53, Title 23 of the United States Code, and other federal statutes administered by the Federal Transit Administration.
Good evening, Mayor and City Commissioners. This evening, Alex Lorio, our Grant and Project Outreach Manager, will be making the presentation. And this is his last presentation to this commission. And after the presentation, I have a few words.
Good afternoon, Honorable Mayor and City Commissioners. My name is Alex Lorio. I'm with Grant and Public Outreach Manager for Brownsville Metro. I have about 7 slides here. During the presentation, I want to briefly discuss the Urbanized Area Formula Program and the city's allocation for 2014. I'll go over our proposed program of projects and the local match required for each. And after the presentation, we'll have the public hearing to receive comments and then take action. The Urbanized Area Formula Program, or Section 5307, makes funds available to designated recipients throughout the country for development, improvement, and use in public transit systems. This grant application is a yearly process. It's a yearly requirement for the city to access our share of federal funds. It's not a competitive grant. Funds are appropriated by Congress on an annual basis, and they're allocated by the Federal Transit Administration, and according to certain formulas, which are then the allocations are published in the Federal Register. This year, our apportionment was a little over $2.4 million. Now I'm going to discuss our program of projects. We're proposing included eligible activities for this particular program are capital, planning, and operating projects. We're proposing 2 capital projects, including preventive maintenance and multimodal terminal construction. Maintenance is usually an operating cost, but we're going to take advantage of federal rules that allow us to use capital funds. We're doing this because what this means is we can we can draw down 80% of the project cost in federal grants, and we only have to contribute 20%. If it were an operating expense, it would be a 50-50 match, so we're trying to take advantage of this rule. Then of course, the multimodal terminal construction, most of the funds will be used for construction of the parking garage, which is underway right now. Next, we have planning. There's an 80-20 match, in 80% federal, 20% local for these. We've allocated a little over $20,000 in federal funds, which will be matched by about $5,000 in local dollars. And finally, our operating assistance, it's matched at 50-50, and we have allocated a little over $1.2 million in federal funds, which will be matched by an equal amount in local funds. So this table breaks down the projects. You can see that for the city, the total amount in local match, which we will be responsible for, is a little over $1.5 million. Again, there's the federal amount is a little over $2.4 million, for a total project cost just under $4 million. And the city's contribution will come from the Public Transit Fund, and this amount is already included in the fiscal year 2014 budget. So one of the requirements for submitting this application is to hold a public hearing, and the purpose is to obtain the views of citizens on the proposed program of projects and the performance of Brownsville Metro. We published a legal public hearing notice in the paper a couple weeks ago, and at this point, my presentation is over and could open it up for comments.
Okay. Any public comment on this one?
Move to close.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Move to approve.
I'm sorry, just a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Thank you, Alex.
And then there's the,
Alex has been with our department since 2002. He's always been a team worker with an excellent attitude who has contributed to the success of Brownsville Metro and the city. He has demonstrated a sincere desire and effort to accomplish his tasks, which over the past 10 and a half years, he was able to get over $70 million in funds through grants that he wrote and he applied for in behalf of the city. Alex is truly going to be missed by our department, and we have a little token of appreciation for all his hard work and efforts as he's moving on to a successful position with Capital Metro in Austin.
Awesome.
A little bigger than a watch, we're going to give him a clock. But we're going to really miss Alex. He's been here for, even though he looks like he's 25, he's been here with us since 2002. And we've appreciated everything he's done for us. And we bless him all, we wish him all the luck. And he's always welcome back.
You want to go ahead and stand over there for some photos?
We'll miss you.
Thank you so much for everything you did for us.
Have fun in Austin.
Do you want to see?
few words. I'm sorry. I'll get out of here. But I've cut my teeth here in Brownsville. I moved here right after college. I've enjoyed my entire time here. I didn't expect to stay here as long. It was just going to be a brief 2 years, and then I was going to leave. But I got a job here with the city. I've really loved and appreciated my time here. And I've been able to work with some of you more closely than others, and I really thank you for the opportunity that I've had, and I'll miss you.
Mayor, Alex, when I started here, you spent, I think, about 2 weeks with me, teaching me urban, and I just want to thank you for everything that you did for me in helping me and educating me and learning to do what we do. So thank you, and God bless you, and be careful. Thanks a lot.
Thank you. Thank you.
Item number 10.
Item number 10, public hearing and action on first reading of protested ordinance number 235-2013-057-S to allow a restaurant and a party place in a general retail H classification and dwelling A classification for 3.28 acres out of Lot 7, Block Double D of Brownsville Land and Improvement Company subdivision located at 1904 Central Boulevard, Brownsville, Texas 78526.
Mayor, City Commission, as you might recall, this case was before you on April 1st of this year. And it is located on Central Boulevard and Stovall. Right here, just south of this property, is the Pizza Hut on Central Boulevard. So your instructions to us were to go and talk to the neighbors, get the owners and the neighbors together, and try to come up with a resolution. and we have done so. We met perhaps about 2 weeks after that, and then so we met about a couple of times with the owners and the neighbors. The owner has agreed to move the restaurant to the front of the property, whereas, do you have the site plan? So this is an old image of what he proposed initially, which was to have the restaurant in the back and retail along this area. He has now moved his restaurant to the front. The restaurant was the main culprit of the neighbor's dissent because of concerns over noise and activity with regards to these neighbors back here. So we have made this is a specific use, so the owner did make those changes. The restaurant is now in the front, and I believe the neighborhood has approved the layout as presented. So we ask for your approval tonight, and this is a public hearing. There are some neighbors here that I think are wanting to speak, so we'll give them a chance.
We'll entertain public hearing. There's someone here to talk about this one, please?
I thought I recognized them.
So as you can see, there's about a 40 to 50 foot buffer along the back of the property. It does propose a fence on the back of the property. He's moved his restaurant to the front, and and all this is retail and general retail and office use. So I'll open it up to public hearing.
My name is Martha Lipscomb. I live at 95 North Korea. Okay, we met with the developer, and Omar, what's his name? Hakeem was very, very helpful in bringing us together and showing us what we could do and how to generally, iron things out and work together, which we did. We left the meeting very, very satisfied. Mr. Cantu had said he was going to leave it native for our wildlife and all of this, and everybody was so satisfied. Well, on May the 8th, I came home because I was gone most of the day, and as I walked in, my sunroom looked straight over there. Here is this big maintainer pulling this last tree out. The circumference of the roots was 18 to 20 feet across. He had cleared the whole bank. It is down to nothing. And that's the before and after pictures. The before pictures were taken in January, and then these here are what's left. And this is the roots and all the pile. Okay, now the city has stepped up. The city said they will make restitution. They're working with us. They're doing wonderful. And I realize somebody wasn't doing their job by watching their employee. He should never have gotten that far. But what I want it to know is as we go forward with this new project, this plaza that Mr. Cantu wants to build, I want to be reassured that the city is going to monitor and make sure that things like this don't happen or errors aren't, that get caught in the very beginning, because this should never have happened. We have no more wildlife, and hopefully it'll get restored. That's what I'm really counting on, because we had a beautiful, beautiful array of different birds and everything.
So, Charlie, who took all that stuff away? Who did, it was the developer?
No, ma'am. Unfortunately, one of our employees, in doing some cleanup in that area, mistook his instructions and knocked the tree down. Hit it with a machine and knocked it down. Our promise to the community is that we're going to do everything we can to restore as much as we can to its original look, plus anything else that we need to do to accommodate that area. We have met with them, offered our extreme apologies. We don't understand why the employee did that. That we looked into that as well. But we're going to work on getting all that done and fixed.
Well, it was more than just the one tree.
Yes.
It was the whole bank.
Do we normally clear properly like that?
No, ma'am. No, ma'am. We were clearing some of the area in front of that. No, obviously, the employee chose to go into the property beyond what we were supposed to be cleaning and did some work on some of those trees that he shouldn't have. Our mistake, no doubt. Our promise was to the community is that, and number one, this has nothing to do, this is not the fault of the developer. This is our fault, not the developer, nor obviously the homeowners. This is our responsibility, and our responsibility will be to go out there, work with them until they're satisfied that we have, to the best possible means, restored the look of that area.
Okay, well, again, I think we owe it to all these good commissioners to give us a progress report so that we can kind of make sure that this happens. I happen to know this young lady right here, and
She knows me too. They already got spanked. Yes.
Yeah, I know. You sound like it, but as I said in my prayer, hopefully that we're all human and we all are afflicted with a human condition. So we'll make mistakes and we just try to do the best that we can. So let's see if we can kind of restore this, and we do have Santana sitting over there. We do have some areas in this town that have additional trees and things that we can kind of accommodate. So Charlie, I know you'll do great work. Ramiro, as far as this ordinance itself, as far as the developer, besides this particular mistake, we don't want to make any more. Will this take care and make sure that he would be adhering to everything that the neighborhood worked out? The specific use, I know we'll be addressing where.
Yeah.
Okay.
The site plan is per what the neighborhood, so what you approved tonight is per what the neighborhood.
Okay.
Now, he has to go and get a full set of drawings and go through the building department.
Right.
Go through all his normal reviews of development.
Well, again, keep us posted, again, all of these, to make sure that this thing, in other words, nothing slips between the cracks. I know you guys can do it, there's some things that just happen, and so.
Ramiro, but we're not approving the location because you don't have a site plan then.
Yeah, the site plan is there. We just showed it to you.
But I thought before, in the other action items that you've presented before, they have the actual drawings already done. And
No.
that's what
This is the way his site has to be laid out. So the restaurant has to be here. This is a specific use, so it has to. So these are the uses, so they have to be specific to this area. What I'm talking about is this is just a conceptual plan. What I'm talking about is the drainage plan and the electrical plan and the HVAC plans.
These are the preliminary renderings.
Yes.
That we'll get for every.
So anything that he needs to get a building permit, he can't go get a building permit with this plan. He can only get this approval with this plan. So we will definitely monitor that those plans that follow this, which we do all the time.
And there's other trees, I'm assuming, on that property?
There are some trees back here in this buffer that he left. So we will monitor, and that's why our forester is also involved. He reviews all the construction drawings before the building permit's issued.
Any other public hearings? Thank you for coming this evening.
Move to close?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Move to approve?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Item 11, public hearing and action to authorize the City of Brownsville Police Department to apply for the fiscal year 2014 Edward Byrne Memorial Justice Assistance Grant Program, application number 2014-H2579-TEX DJ in the amount of $83,120.
Mayor, City Commission, I'm James Pascal, Commander of the Brownsville Police Department. This is the fiscal 14 JAG grant. They used to call them local block grants. This is our 10th one to come before the commission. We need your authority to proceed to apply for these funds. Like with all JAG grants, we split it. It's split between us, Cameron County, and the City of Harlingen. The Brownsville will be getting $42,374. If you'll remember back in fiscal 12, we bought patrol rifles. The natural progression for us is we're gonna add optics using some of this money. And also we're purchasing 3 drone helicopters. They're actually used for crime scenes, like for traffic accidents and stuff like that. Now you just send a little chopper up with a camera. We used to be in helicopters or planes and fly over these areas. So, using the newest technology. And that's what we'll be using these funds with. We're requesting your approval.
I just have a really quick question.
Sure.
How is it determined that the funds are allocated between the city of Brownsville, Cameron County, and Harlingen?
The funding comes, this is the local block grant, goes to the state of Texas, then comes through us. They divide it up by county, its population. There's a formula that comes with this, and that's how it works out. Brownsville usually gets the bigger share because we're the largest population. But it's not necessarily population, but like City of Harlingen got 27,000. But there's a formula. I can get that to you. I don't have that offhand, though. But there is a formula.
This goes through the Development Council, right?
Correct.
Yeah, they distribute.
There's a formula for this.
Yeah, there's a formula they use for it, and this city commission for the last 10 years has been the authorizing body for it, but again, it gets divided up between the cities and counties. Requesting approval.
Okay, it's public hearing. If anybody has any comment?
Close public hearing.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Thank you.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Public comment, we have one public comment. Item 13, consideration and action. I'm sorry, that's been done. Item 14, consideration and action to amend the Brownsville Community Improvement Corporation's Type B Corporation bylaws.
Good afternoon, members of the City Commission. I'm here before you to propose, to bring you the proposal from the BCAC Board to amend the bylaws. The changes are minimal, as noted in your packet. We only have a change to section 3.02, where we will be limiting the number of commissioners on the board. Currently, we have the option to have as many as 2 city commissioners. The board has voted to reduce the number to 1. The change noted in section 4.10 is simply updating the description of the executive director and cleaning up the language. We have some leftover language from when we were a city department. Since we haven't been a city department since 2012, we just needed to update it.
I'll entertain a
to
motion.
approve. Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
1, 2, aye?
Yes.
Just 3? All those opposed?
Nay.
It's a tie.
It's dead.
Um,
The mayor can break.
It doesn't go anywhere. Doesn't go anywhere. Thank you, Rachel. Doesn't pass.
Oh, that's right. Sorry. Okay, 6.
Item number 15. That item didn't pass, number 14.
I'm sorry?
That item didn't pass, so we're going to item number 15. It's a 3-3 tie, so
Yes.
Okay.
maybe when you have a full commission here, you might want to bring it up.
Right.
What's the regulation on that? Can it come back at the next meeting? Yeah. Can it come back at the next meeting, or does?
Of course it can
Does it
come
take
back to the
the-
next meeting. Why wouldn't it?
I mean,
It's a question.
it can come back anytime. I mean,
Okay.
that's the Robert Rules of Order. Anyway, item number 15, it just doesn't pass at this meeting.
Item number 15, consideration and action to authorize and execute an interlocal agreement between the City of Brownsville Police Department, Cameron County, and the City of City of Harlingen, Texas, regarding FY 2014 Edward Byrne Memorial Justice Assistance Grant Program application number 2014-H2579-TX-DJ in the amount of $83,120.
Mayor, City Commission, this is reference to the previous one. This is an interlocal agreement that's required by the grant, and tomorrow morning, if it's approved, we'll be
Would
filing.
approve.
Here, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you, man.
Item 16, consideration and action to award a contract for loading bridge repairs for the Brownsville South Padre Island International Airport.
Honorable Mayor Martinez and City Commissioners, my name is Larry Brown. I serve the community as the Director of Aviation at the Brownsville South Padre Island International Airport. I get a free plug for that. My purpose for coming before the City Commission is to request the City Commission consider an act to award a contract to the firm of Airport Technical Support in the amount of $77,288 for repairs to the south loading bridge at the airport. This work involves the replacement, repair of several structural components of the bridge, which at the present time is about 15 years old. I'd like to note that the repair work on this bridge is part of a bigger comprehensive plan for the airport terminal, involving a grant application which I intend to submit within about 60 days to the FAA. And when it is funded, we will buy a third loading bridge and attach it to the terminal. With 2 airlines at the present time and so forth, it creates a problem if we have a problem to need to repair the bridge or maintain the bridge, whatever the case may be. So a third loading bridge will assist us. It will also assist the airport when we restore international service to the airport, and we will have a separate loading bridge for that purpose. Again, the Commission has a letter of recommendation from our engineer recommending the approval of this, and also I recommend as well. Be happy to address any questions.
Motion to approve?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you, Larry.
Item 17, consideration and action to authorize change order number 2 for architectural services for Stegman Building rehabilitation of Brownsville Performing Arts Academy.
Mayor, City Commission, about a year ago, you approved the contract with Munoz and Company for the architectural services for the Stegman Building. There have been some changes, some additional services that are required. One of those services was a MOU that you entered with the THC, the Texas Historic Commission. There is some paperwork and some additional work that has to be done, so that's one of those services. The other service is in talking with the architects and talking with HUD. We have chosen to get this building LEED certified. It will be the first LEED certified building for the city. And we think that we can get to silver. But we're going to try for silver, but we're for sure going to get a LEED certified building at the end of this. So those require some additional services and additional reporting that has to be done to the LEED certification. There are some other services in here, some additional design services that have to be done, but we do ask for your approval tonight so that we can continue this project moving forward.
I think it's.
Could you briefly explain to me what LEED is?
LEED is it's the U.S. Green Building Council has put out a format for where you can design buildings that are energy efficient and green, which means a variety of things. But one, energy efficiency. Two, you reuse. Since we're going to do a lot of demolition in this building, we're going to reuse a lot of the products that are there, a lot of the wood floor, a lot of the stuff that's going to stay on site. So it's just a way of designing a building to where it's better, it's energy efficient.
But yet maintains its historical.
Absolutely, yeah.
That's
What's the price difference? It's only 3,300?
No, it's you're approving tonight $139,000, $139,800.
And just for your edification, Commissioner, the LEED program is extremely desirable for, I mean, you can do rehabs of historical buildings as well as brand new, but it's the way to go in trying to go. It's sort of like the university, the master plans, they have a sum zero, like within the next 30 years, it will have no emissions and it'll be low energy.
I think it's really cool that we've been working on this with the Stegman building for so long, and so recently there was something in the newspaper about it. And so my grandmother comes and tells me, Jessica, why didn't you tell me that the city owns the Stegman building? So when my grandparents migrated from Laredo and decided that Brownsville was their place to make their life for their future and their kids and me, that was their first apartment. So, wow, I thought that was really cool. That's
All
where
right.
they came from.
Okay, I'll entertain a motion.
Would approve. Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you.
Chairman? Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Thank you.
Isn't that weird?